Hey everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video, we'll be going through an unboxing and review of another Beast Weaponizer 2-pack, this time with Optimus Primal and Arrowstripe, who I will affectionately call as Discount Targetron. So this, like a lot of the recent stuff that's been on the channel, is all from the Rise of the Beasts toy subline, and the movie I believe is due out in about 6 weeks, 8 if you're allegedly in Australia, such as myself. But anyway, weird grievance about movie release aside. Front of the packaging for Primal and Arrowstripe. So we have Primal here in a very dark black and grey motif, Arrowstripe on the left in a very white and silver motif, and once again you look at it and go, that looks like Targetron. But on the packaging does have a nice shot of Primal in his beast mode here on the left, and the CGI art on the right. Same shot of Primal's head once again, and then still Primal's head and a bit of his torso. Back of the box. So Primal will be a 7-step transformation between robot mode and his beast mode. I suspect it won't be too involved. As for Arrowstripe, 5 steps of conversion between his weapon mode, which could be some type of arrow, bow and arrow, maybe, and obviously his standard beast mode. So, now that we've had a look at that, time to release the two from the packaging and have a better look at all the inclusions. And with everything out of the packaging, so Arrowstripe here, we'll have a better look at him in a little while. Primal, who actually does feel like a fairly solid figure. And then the manual. So, quick look at the manual. So there is Primal's 7 steps of transformation. So it's not too dissimilar to some of the transformation that his previous toy iterations have had. So definitely nothing too out of the ordinary there. It's very simplistic. And then as for Arrowstripe, does feel a little bit involved, but that's okay. Getting pretty used to having to literally split these battle masters in between. Rhinox was a very good example of that, but yeah, definitely not too bad. Probably keep that, well, we'll look at that again in a little bit. Primal will come back to you. So, Arrowstripe. So what do we have? Quick look from the front. Side, rear, other side, top, bottom. So Arrowstripe will stand on his 4 feet, which is very good. In terms of articulation, there's a little bit of a up and down with the head, which is nice. It's nice to have a bit of a head tilt. The front legs can move. Well, they can't move any further to the back, but they can move that much to the front. They are independent of each other as well, which is good, so you can offset your legs. The tail has some movement as well. And then lastly, the back legs will actually not have any movement. So there you go. So it's only the tail, the front legs, and a bit of movement in the head. So definitely different from the Cheetor Battlemaster that we saw. So it's nice that there's a little bit of articulation, but at the same time it's also not too surprising given the gimmick is more of a weapon than an actual playable ultimate. In terms of the colours, so it is very much predominantly white. We do have some of the silver here on the side, and there's a bit more paint apps on the front. And as I said earlier, you look at this and the first thing you think of, hey, this looks more like Targetron. So that is very cool. So that is Arrowstripe. in his alt mode. Now, transformation. Now, I'm sure we don't need it, but we'll have it here anyway. So we basically split Arrowstripe in two. Ouch. Flip these sides over. Yeah, that doesn't look painful whatsoever. Move the legs to the front like so, I guess to make the ends of a bow. Flip this over and flip that down apparently. Yep, that's right. And then flip his head over. And then that is pretty much the completed weapon. And then, since I have Primal right here, tab that in, and there you go. That is a equipped Arrowstripe. It's very big. If it was a more traditional bow and arrow, that actually wouldn't be too bad. It actually does look quite nice that way, but that's pretty much how it looks like on the other side. So definitely not too bad. Definitely an interesting weaponizer. I have noticed, I think on the actual promotional art, this bit here is blue. So it does make me wonder, will we get, later down the track, a actual individual battle master of Arrowstripe who will hopefully have a bit more colour. If looking at the Rhinox beast, well, battle master is any indication, given the two variances of deco between the 2-pack and the standalone. But regardless, that is pretty much what Arrowstripe looks like in the weapon mode. So, definitely not too bad. Colour's obviously still the same, but I feel there's probably some reduced colour apps on this version of Arrowstripe. I will keep you like this for the time being so we can have a look at you when Primal is in his beast mode, and then we might even just switch you back to your beast mode. Now, Primal. Primal from the front, the side, the back, the other side, top down, bottom. Will he stand on his own feet? Yes, he will. And nice close-up of the detailing in his torso and his head. Now the head detailing is very nice. You actually look at that and go, I feel like that's pretty much his head back from the Beast Wars days. Including the lips with his battle mask currently undeployed. It's also very nice that there's some blue in there for his eyes. So I think the detailing on his head, really cool. I know I've said this a few times, but the Autobots, whilst they're not super detailed, seem to have a bit more playability, but the actual beast-based ones seem to have more detailing, but don't have as much playability. I don't know if someone intentionally decided that, or if that's just a weird observation I've made thus far based on Wave 1. Time will tell. In terms of Primal's colours, very much black, silver, grey. So it's actually very nice colours that go quite well together. I actually quite like the colour scheme for this one. I almost feel that if you also did a bit of a recolor of this, you could almost pass him off as his Beast Machines version. Almost. Obviously it's not the same in terms of deco, but yeah, it's not too bad. But it is very cool. I actually do quite like the actual look of this. I think the only downside is he's definitely a bit hollow, which is unfortunate. But he is probably a warrior class type figure. So I obviously don't expect him to have all these hollow parts filled in and things like that if he was a deluxe or a Voyager. Anyway, what can this figure do? Well, I can tell you right now, there's no articulation in the head whatsoever. That is very much going to look pretty much dead straightforward for the rest of time. As for the arms, there will be a very nice 360 here at the shoulder. The arm can go pretty much all the way to the side like so. In fact, that's probably part of the transformation. Because of the 360, obviously the arm can go all the way back, all the way to the front as well. We have a ball socket here for the elbow joint, so it can do a 90-degree bend. Won't go any back, well, won't go to the back. But because it is a ball socket, it can also rotate that 360 there as well. So definitely not too bad, especially if you had some close combat weapons. You could at least pull off some arm poses with those. So his arms definitely aren't too bad in the way of articulation. Not fantastic, but it's a start. There will be no waist rotation, unfortunately. So at this point in time, only his arms are articulated. As for his legs, just do that with your arms. 45-degree standard leg split. His legs can go all the way to the back like so, all the way to the front like so, and still probably about a 45-degree tilt at the hip even when he does that with his legs. So it's not terrible. Seems to be a standard level of articulation within the waist area. Now with his leg, since we know that it goes all the way to the front like so, it will have a 45-degree knee bend. That's if it goes down. That's not great, but the knee, well, the lower leg can kick up like that. Now, pretty sure that's part of the transformation, as opposed to literally kicking out like that, because I think anatomically, robot or not, that just looks painful. In fact, it makes my knees hurt. And yes, I'm pretty sure that is part of the transformation, just to put him in his weird crouching look. So if I extend that out properly, so normally he would just have that 45-degree knee bend there. As for his feet, there will be a 360 ball socket there, which is cool, mainly because that is how he switches between his robot feet and his ape feet. So overall, he's not sporting the most articulation. He'll have enough, but compared to Wheeljack had a bit more. Prime actually had a bit more, and I think RC and Cheetor is the next release that I'm still trying to track down. So Primal at this point in time has been the only beast-based 2-pack weaponizer so far. But hopefully that does mean that we'll get a Rhinox and a Cheetor and maybe even an Air Razor as time goes on. There we go. So that is Primal in his robot mode. So I actually will try to do a live transformation, because it's only so many steps. So first step, pop open that chest, spin it around. Actually, that spin is a bit tight. Pop that back in, drop the shoulders, spin the feet around, and then lift up those knees. And I dare say, I mean, if he crouches down, you'll probably want to do that, but he won't have much of a crouch. So that was the transformation to his beast mode. Yes, definitely not overly long and complicated whatsoever. So Primal in his beast mode. So the main difference really is just the torso and the head. So a bit of a close-up on that. So it's still sporting the same color scheme, which is good. So it's very unifying there. Detailing on the head is very nice. And in his beast mode, Primal actually has green eyes as opposed to blue. Also got some nice detailing there with some of the I'm not too sure what they would be called. Mechanical tendons, muscles, I guess, in there as well. So definitely very nice on the detailing. In terms of what he looks like, so that's the front of the beast mode, the side, the back, which to be honest doesn't look too different from his robot mode, the other side from the top down, which isn't going to be too different other than the shoulders now being dropped, and from the bottom. So Primal will definitely stand on his own 2 feet, that's not a problem. Colours are pretty much exactly the same. I won't go through articulation because it's definitely going to be the same. And in fact, with the shoulders drop down, it might even be a little bit easier on the arms. Obviously not bending his knees as much now in his beast mode. Although it is unfortunate, I don't know if he will do his crouching well. So I know one of his figures tended to do it okay, but I have a feeling bear with me. Okay, so minus the lack of any form of head movement, he can move down into the more of the quadrupedal type locomotion style that he has done many a time, instead of being purely bipedal. But the downside of doing this is because the head doesn't move, he just looks like he's looking down the entire time. So unfortunate, but for this level of figure, not unsurprising. So it can be done, just accept the fact that he's looking down. Now, quickly bring back Arrowstripe. Not that he would sport... Well, actually, Primal being a gorilla, well, he actually could. So that is Primal in his gorilla mode, holding Arrowstripe. I will admit, the ball socket for the elbow area is very, very tight, which is good. So if you want to do some offset with his elbows and things like that, you can probably feel relatively assured he will actually be able to hold it. I did notice with Wheeljack the elbow joint was a little bit weak. But there you go, Primal holding Arrowstripe. So we'll just do that. How about we flip you back into your beast mode, which is pretty cool. So obviously the two together, which isn't too bad. Yeah, he looks like Tigertron. Don't know why they just didn't call him Tigertron. Maybe it was a name licensing thing, who knows. Okay, so final thoughts on this 2-pack. So Primal's robot mode, for its warrior class type style, the detailing was very nice. The colours are quite nice as well. I quite like the colours, the detailing. So visually he actually looks very nice at this particular scale, I dare say. I think the main downside of his robot mode was the reduced articulation. So it's only really in his arms and his legs that he has it, and even then it's not his full arms because the shoulders are a little bit less than average. His lower arms are okay, his legs are okay as well. So I think robot mode, it can do poses, but it will definitely have a limit to how many dynamic poses it can pull off, given that there's no head movement, no waist swivel. So it'll get to a point where he's probably going to do the same pose over and over. Unfortunate, but he's not a Voyager, is probably the main takeaway point. Arrowstripe in his beast mode, once again, it's nice that he has a little bit of articulation, but it's obviously not the main feature of the figure. Arrowstripe in his Weaponizer mode. It's actually a very nice Weaponizer. It looks very cool. It's something different from what we've seen before. I think my only down point is that because this is the 2-pack, they have probably been a bit more conservative with the paint apps. So I feel there could have been a few more paint apps to make him look a bit nicer, especially based on the back of the packaging art. So with a bit of luck, he will get a individual release with more paint apps. But other than that, it's a very solid weapon mode that he has. Going to Primal's Beast mode, same takeaway points as his robot mode. The colors and the detailing is very nice, but the articulation is definitely not great. In fact, it's probably even less in his Beast mode because of how his legs transformed. It's also unfortunate that he can't do his typical gorilla-like poses because of the fact that his head can't move, so he's always looking down. So from a playability perspective for both modes, it's not great. He's definitely one of those, pick a pose, keep him there, that's about it. Overall, it's still a very nice 2-pack, because I don't think they will necessarily sell, you know, the mainline robot individually. So it's definitely been one of the better sublines that I've picked up. I think between the battle changes and the 2-pack Beast Weaponizers, there's more playability with these than there are the battle changes. I think Prime was the only interesting one because they did a different visual aesthetic for him on his robot mode and his alt mode. But going back to this, I would still say if you like what you see, definitely pick it up because I think it's still very cool. It is very much a gimmick line, so it's not much that I can say about that. I do hope that there's a re-release of Arrowstripe as a proper battle master. I'd definitely like to pick him up. As for Primal, he's not too bad. I think just pick a pose for him and put him somewhere. He's definitely not the worst looking Primal figure that's ever been released. And I really do like the detailing, so I think visually he still does look good, but he's not going to have much playability. But at the same time, he's probably more targeted for younger audience. I mean, 6+, really. Yes, obviously adults and mature collectors can still pick these up, but mileage will vary as you get older. It's probably the crux of the situation. But yeah, I would definitely say, if you see him and you like him, grab him. If you're not a big fan of the fact that there's little playability, save yourself for the Voyager and potentially Studio Series if they do end up releasing one of him. That will definitely have playability through and through. And then as for Arrowstripe, as I've said, if you want something that potentially has more paint apps, hold out and see if they do release him as an individual Beast Battlemaster. So that'll bring us to the end of the unboxing and review of Optimus Primal and Arrowstripe. So I did mention that the line actually hasn't been too bad. It's very gimmicky, it's very basic, but I think it's definitely one of the more interesting sublines that I've picked up. I will say with more of the figure sublines coming out, I probably will not pick up anything further in the sense of from other sublines. Because most of them are basically repacks and or redecos of previous figures. So unless one really calls out to me, I'll probably skip anything from there. What I've picked up so far, I will continue with, although the battle changes is definitely, it's okay, but I would say you could almost just pick the ones that you really like the look of and skip the rest. with Primal being the last of the beast weaponizers that I have until I grab RC, I will be looking at the, I think I've got 3 of the weird combining armor ones, which I believe is a rehash of a Cyberverse gimmick. So those will be interesting, but I'm definitely not expecting those ones to be overly complicated either, given that the armorization is the main gimmick of the subline. Anyway, I'll leave it there. So thank you for watching this unboxing and review video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account. Link to that is in the description below. There'll also be some shorts and hopefully some stuff on the community tab. And as I mentioned, there's still plenty more Rise of the Beast stuff to look at. So the 3 combiner armors, there's at least 6 deluxes and 3 voyages on the to-do list. So plenty more videos to go through in the future. So definitely stick around if those are something that you wouldn't mind having a look at. With that being all said, stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in the next video. See ya.